Rain slapped the chapel windows like fists, and every rich guest turned to stare at the black woman standing alone in a thrift store blue dress. Lenore, wrapped in pearls and white silk, pointed at Mira's shoes and laughed louder. Beside her, Colby Vale, the billionaire groom who had once promised Mira forever, looked away as if she were trash blown in from the street. Mira had come to stop a wedding, but the small gold key burning in her palm asked a worse question. Who was locked behind the altar wall? A baby cried under the music. The sound froze every smile. The organ kept playing, soft and wrong, while two men in black suits moved toward Mira, with calm hands and cold eyes. Colby's father, old Zane Vale, rose from the front row, his silver cane tapping once. In the city, one tap from Zane could close a club, buy a judge, or bury a man so deep even his own mother stopped dreaming of him. Mira did not step back. 5 years earlier, Colby had loved her on rooftops above East Harbor, where trains screamed and fried chicken smoke floated from late shops. He had kissed rain from her cheeks and sworn he would leave the Vale family business. Then Mira's brother Dane was found in a river, and Colby vanished. The police called it trouble. Mira called it murder. Tonight, she had proof folded inside her purse, and revenge walking in her chest. Lenore lifted her chin. Security removed the joke. Laughter rolled again, but smaller now, because the baby cried once more, hidden somewhere near the altar. Mira raised the gold key. Ask your groom why this opens his private elevator. Colby's face lost its color. His hand twitched toward his pocket. Lenore looked at him, then at the key, and the first crack showed in her perfect smile. Zane's cane tapped twice. The chapel doors locked. Guests gasped. Phones died at once, their screens blinking black. Outside, engines growled in the wet street. Mira knew the Vale men had sealed the building, but she also knew something they did not. Her friend Nia, a club singer with a voice like honey and nails, waited across the road with 3 news crews and 1 retired detective who still carried guilt like a stone. Colby stepped down from the altar. Mira, leave. His voice still knew her name gently, and that hurt worse than Lenore's laugh. You left me at Dane's grave, Mira said. Colby swallowed. I was trying to keep you alive. If this twist stunned you, tap subscribe, smash like, and drop your city in the comments. A murmur ran through the room. Lenore grabbed Colby's arm, but he pulled free. For one bright second, Mira saw the boy from the rooftop, scared and kind. Then Zane moved, and the boy disappeared. Son, Zane said, choose your bride. Colby looked at Lenore. She smiled like a knife. She was not just a rich bride. She was daughter of the North Pier boss, a man who owned trucks, docks, and quiet men with clean gloves. This wedding was not love. It was a bridge between 2 mafia kingdoms, tied with flowers. Mira walked toward the altar. Each step clicked in the hush. Dane found your shipping books. He sent them to me before he died. I hid them. Tonight, if I do not walk out, every page goes public. Zane laughed without joy. Child, I have eaten threats for breakfast since before you were born. Then chew this. Mira held up her phone. Its screen was dead, but the small red light in her earring blinked. Live sound. Zane's eyes narrowed. From behind the altar wall, the baby wailed hard, and this time a woman's muffled voice cried, Help! Lenore jerked back as if struck. What is that? Colby ran to the wall before anyone could stop him. He pressed a carved rose in the wood. A panel slid open, showing a narrow service lift and a young maid on the floor, arms wrapped around a baby in a yellow blanket. Her lip was split. Her eyes found Mira like a drowning hand. They locked us in, the maid whispered. They said after the vows no one would ask. The room broke into fear. Mira knew the maid. Tessa had once worked at Club Halo, where Colby used to meet Mira before the world burned. Tessa looked at Colby and said, She is your daughter. The words hit harder than thunder. Lenore screamed, but not from heartbreak. She reached for the baby with both hands, her face twisted. That child ruins everything. Mira stepped between them. Touch her, and you answer to me. For the first time, Lenore stopped laughing. Zane lifted his cane, and 2 guards seized Tessa. Colby lunged, but another guard pinned him. Mira moved fast. She smashed her heel onto the guard's foot, drove her elbow back, and pulled Tessa free. The chapel erupted. Chairs fell. Pearls scattered. Old ladies cried out. A flower girl hid behind a pew, still holding her basket. Then the stained glass window burst inward. Nia's voice cut through the rain outside. "Mira, move!" A black van crashed into the side gate, not the chapel, but the shock made the guards turn. Detective Rowe, gray-haired and broad, stepped through the open chapel doors with officers behind him. The locks had opened from outside. Nia had used the old choir entrance, just as Mira planned. Zane did not run. Powerful men rarely believed the ground could break under them. He smiled at the officers. "This is a family matter." Rowe held up a warrant. So was the river. The room went silent again. Mira's throat tightened. "Dane?" Rowe faced her with wet eyes. "Your brother was not robbed. He was killed because he copied ledgers tying Vale money to North Pier guns. I buried doubt for 5 years. Tonight, I stopped burying it." Zane turned his calm fury on Colby. "You see what love brings? Shame at the altar." Colby looked at the baby, at Tessa, at Mira, then at his father. No, love brought witnesses. He pulled a silver drive from his cufflink and tossed it to Mira. "Dane gave me the second copy. I hid it because father threatened you. I should have trusted you. I was a coward." Mira caught the drive. The weight was tiny. The pain was not. Lenore backed toward a side door. Her veil dragged through spilled flowers. "Arrest him, not me. I knew nothing." Tessa, shaking, pointed at her. "She ordered them to hide us." She said a baby born outside the wedding made her look weak. The officers moved toward Lenore. Lenore fell to her knees before Mira, white dress soaking up dirty rainwater from the broken window. Please, do not let them take me. I was only protecting my future."
Don't leave
Mira
me
stared
here.
at the woman who had laughed at her shoes, her skin, her pain, and her place in the room. "You were protecting a throne built on bones." Colby reached for Mira, then stopped himself. "I loved you every day I stayed gone." Mira wanted to strike him. She wanted to forgive him. She wanted 5 years back, Dane laughing in her kitchen, her mother sleeping without pills, her own heart still soft. None of that would return, because Colby finally found courage in a church full of cameras. The officers took Zane first. His cane clattered on the marble. The sound was small, almost silly, and every rich guest looked down, because power looked different without men obeying it. As they pulled Lenore up, she hissed at Mira. "You think you won? Colby still chose me." Mira almost answered, but the baby caught her finger. Her tiny hand was warm, trusting, and blind to the ruin around her. Mira felt a door open in her chest, not romance, not revenge, but mourning. If Mira's courage is holding you here, tap subscribe, smash like, and drop your city below in the comments. Colby stepped closer. "There is one more witness." Rowe's face tightened. "Not here, son." Mira heard the word son and turned. Detective Rowe was staring at Colby with the tired care of a man who had carried him through secrets. Colby looked at Mira. "Please come outside." "No more games," Mira said. "No games, only the debt." They walked through broken glass and rain. Cameras flashed. Sirens painted the street red and blue. The city watched from windows, bus stops, and club doors. Old men held umbrellas over grandmothers. Young boys stood on bikes, wide-eyed. Everyone had heard of the Vale Empire. No one had seen it bleed. Nia waited beside an ambulance, crying before Mira understood why. Beside her stood a thin man in a gray blanket, face hidden by a hood, left hand curled tight against his chest. Mira stopped. The man lifted his head. The scar over his brow was wrong and right at once. The crooked smile was weaker, but it was his. Her knees almost folded. "Little star," Dane whispered. Dane was alive. The world fell quiet inside Mira. 5 years of black dresses, cold birthdays, and whispered prayers cracked open. She ran so fast her shoes slipped on the wet road. Dane caught her with weak arms, and she held him, like letting go would kill him again. Colby stayed back in the rain. Dane pressed his cheek to Mira's hair. "He pulled me from the river. Zane's men came back. Colby hid me with Roe, but my head was broken. I forgot names, faces, home. Last week, I remembered your laugh. Mira turned on Colby. You let me bury an empty grave. Colby did not defend himself. I was scared father would finish the job if you knew. Fear made me cruel. I will spend my life telling the truth now, even if truth leaves me alone. Mira wanted rage to save her from love. It did not. Rage was hot and simple. Love was a hard road with stones under every step. Months passed with the city watching. Trials filled screens. Zane Vale lost towers, clubs, judges, and the fear that had fed him. Lenore traded silk for a plain cell and wrote letters no one answered. Tessa opened a small bakery with windows full of sun. Dane learned life again, one smell, song, and joke at a time. Mira did not marry Colby. She did not hate him either. On the first warm night of spring, she stood on the old East Harbor rooftop with Dane, Nia, Tessa, and the baby, whose name was Hope. Far below, the city still growled, but it no longer sounded like a cage. Colby arrived late, carrying no guards, no gold watch, only chicken from the shop they once loved. Hope reached for him. He took her gently, and Mira saw the ache in his face. A man could lose a throne and still not be free. He had to choose truth every day. Colby looked at Mira. Can we start again? Mira watched the sunset turn windows into fire. She thought of Lenore laughing. She thought of Zane's cane falling. She thought of Dane's arms around her in the rain. No, she said, but we can start clean. Colby bowed his head, and that was the closest thing to peace he had earned. Mira lifted Hope so the child could see the whole city, every bright street and dark corner, every place where fear had once ruled. The girl laughed, not cruelly, but like morning breaking a locked door. Mira had walked into a wedding as a joke and walked out as the woman who ended an empire. And nobody in East Harbor laughed at a broken woman again without remembering her name. If Mira's final choice hit your heart, tap subscribe, smash like, and drop your city in the comments.